Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching Now Media Television.
Welcome to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. I'm Jen Gode, your fearless host, investor, entrepreneur, and business strategist. Why are we here? Because I believe that iron sharpens iron. And when we bring experts in subject matter experts in their field, successful entrepreneurs and investors, and we talk about what's working in business and maybe even some of what's not, the result is that we're all able to elevate our businesses, to learn, to grow, and the ripple effect impacts not only ourselves, our businesses, our teams, and our families, but also our communities and our world. I'm really excited to be here today. I have an excellent guest here for you. Our guest today is Shubho Chatterjee. He is a digital executive and change agent proven in delivering sustainable growth, operating margin, and increasing shareholder value. He truly is a visionary servant leader, a strategic thinker, and a craftsman of transformational solutions. I'm really excited because he's going to bring all things healthcare, reimagining healthcare, and what that looks like from a technical side of things to our show today. So let's welcome to the studio Shubho Chatterjee, founder of Digital Ethos. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Jen, for that very kind and gracious introduction, and thanks to your team for setting us up. And also thanks to the audience, both broadcast TV and radio. And I'm very excited to be on this show to discuss how we can reimagine healthcare in this country.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us. We have a healthcare crisis in the United States. We are less healthy than we have been as a population. It's only going in the wrong direction. At the same time, we're losing brain trust in our physicians and our specialists to burnout, early retirements, because it just is a broken system. And so you are part of the solution. Tell me, what are some of the necessities to improve healthcare delivery and improve patient outcomes while reducing costs?
Yes, thank you. That's a great prelude. And before I actually get into some of the facts and the factoids, just a little bit about me. I've spent about 20 plus years in healthcare, in clinical diagnostic testing, hospital systems, healthcare tech companies, and in providers companies. So I've led, building large web-based platforms, yielding about $1 billion worth of annual revenue. I've served as a CIO for a couple of healthcare institutions and the hospital systems, and led digital transformation at the Independence Blue Cross. And so going back to what Jen was referring to, yes, we indeed have a crisis in this country. And if after reviewing or listening to the facts and the factoids, if this doesn't scare you, I really don't know what will. So among the developed economies, the US spends the most, about $4.4 trillion in 2022, which is about 18% of GDP, and which is about 13K per person annually, okay? It has the lowest life expectancy at 77 years on the other side. And there's no guaranteed healthcare coverage. 54% of the millennials have postponed care, and 45% between 18 and 20 have no primary care. 84 million people will have 3 or more chronic diseases by 2030, which has risen 3 times from 30 million in 2015. And then finally, $800 billion heart disease costs will triple by 2030. And as Jen mentioned, staff shortage, burnouts, patient dumping, and non-integrated care delivery. I mean, so it is really a mess, and the call to action is to bring all forces to bear to improve patient care and bend the cost curve.
And so I just want to reiterate that we spend almost over $4 trillion with a T, trillion with a T dollars on healthcare, and of developed countries, we have the lowest life expectancy. I know he said that already. I think it's really important to highlight that, and we're seeing all of these challenges in healthcare. And so talk to me about, you and I have talked a lot about tech integrations, about artificial intelligence and other things with regards to healthcare. What are some of the things that we have to improve or address, and how can we address that in order to improve patient outcomes and reduce cost?
Yes, so you and I have talked a lot about technology and particularly what aspects of technology. So one area is obviously robotic process automation, and the other one that we really, I think, is the focus for today is generative AI, generative artificial intelligence, and how it can help. And so before we kind of go into the details of how it can help with the outcomes, which is essentially improved patient experience, improved quality of care, bending the cost curve, and bringing more and more people into the system. I think, about close to 10% or more of the citizens do not have healthcare insurance to cover, to bring everybody into the fold. How do we use that? So I would like to start by basically discussing the latest technology leverage that we have created for ourselves with this generative AI, and then move from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about you talk about what is generative AI? Because they're buzzwords. We all have seen, it's in the news. We've maybe played with ChatGPT. Everybody's heard about that. But what actually is generative AI?
Yes, so thank you for that. And I'll do that very simply. But before I do that, in the last 30 years or so, we have seen actually three very critical ramp functions of technology. By that time, I mean really game changers. So the first one was 1996, the web came along. And then about 10 years later, the iPhone came along. And then now we have generative AI, ChatGPT, and the equivalent that's come on, and bringing basically game-changing capabilities to all fields of all kinds of business. So what is generative AI? Generative AI is basically a way of using how the human brain works. And the fancy term for that is neural networks. Our brains are kind of wired together using small networks. Okay. And so those are called neural networks. And based upon how we've modeled them, and this has been going on for about 30 years or so, based on the modeling of the human brain, we have created a system of generative networks that basically work to model very complex systems. So very simply, GAI or generative AI is the modeling of the human brain, how it works to model the operations of very complex business systems.
And it happens exceptionally rapidly, much faster than how we can process, right?
That's correct. And the reason it happens that, Jen, to answer kind of allude to your point, is the mimicking of the human brain on computer systems is basically through multiple parallel process servers, very high speed, high performance servers that you've got that can process information very, very quickly and provide the answers. So 30 years ago, while neural networks were being done and tested, we did not have enough computing capacity and performance. Okay, so therefore the answers have to wait for days instead of now in microseconds or a minute, you can get a response from ChatGPT.
So I just want to illustrate for everyone, this technology's been here for a long time. It's just gotten to the point where it can process much more rapidly in the recent times. So it feels on the healthcare provider and the business owner side that it's all happening super fast and that it's just escalated. But really, these things have been in place for quite some time. So how can this help healthcare?
Yes, so then the next step of it. So I hope I have been able to explain very simply what is generative AI or generative artificial intelligence. So now I'm going to move on to the next step of what, of basically the foundation of these systems. So meaning, everybody talks about Chat GPT. So how is Chat GPT built upon? What we have as a foundation is known as large learning models, or LLMs. Large learning models, or LLMs. So these LLMs are basically the underpinnings of the neural network. So what happens in ChatGPT typically is you and you get a response. Okay, so the LLM basically does the modeling and creates the output for your question, for the response. So what it is it's a predictive way for responding to the next word, for example, in a sentence. So for example, if you say Wednesday is, let's say your prompt is, hey, tell me Wednesday is, and then fill in the blanks. The response could be, it's a hump day, it's a midweek day, it's my birthday. So, and all of these outputs are created with different probabilities. So depending on the context, the system tells you it's a hump day. Okay, so the large learning models, language models, I'm sorry, the LLMs basically take text or image as inputs and provide the output to that response via analyzing the model, analyzing the context, and analyzing everything there is to it. And Jen, if it's okay, I think we could kind of talk about a little bit based on how that model has been trained.
We will do that as soon as we come back. We do have to take a brief break. We'll be back after these messages.